Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I have to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to Apostle and all those who great millstone, that rule well and unworthy double honors. And peace and blessings to you overlooked out there, pushing the work of the Lord in true faith, sincerity, and promoting your bodies as a living sacrifice. Shalom, all as well. It's your brother Mashal, and today's edification and exhortation in this lesson. We'll be basically going over, and I'll be titling this lesson, we must practice the art of walking away. We must practice the art of walking away. And I got inspiration to do this lesson from just meditating on, meditating and ultimately just, going through, stages where, I'm just walking away from things, man, just simply walking away from things. And before, as I didn't really realize, that, the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, ultimately, causes us to walk away from things, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? And like, why is that? Because ultimately, Yahweh Shai, is the spirit of division according to the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? When like the scriptures say, man, Yahweh Shai speaking, when Yahweh Shai said, think not I've come to bring peace on the earth, I tell you nay, but rather division. You know what I'm saying? So Yahweh Shai is the spirit of division. So I would like subconsciously, so that means I didn't realize, until reason, like, dang, like I've been, subconsciously, walking away from people, things, places, without me even realizing it, man. Because that means that's the spirit of Yahweh Shai, So when you really come into this truth, you're going to start to notice that you're going to walk away from a lot of things, without you even realizing it, man. You're just going to, just naturally just, filter people out, from your life, filter certain habits, stuff like that. Because like I said, it's the spirit of Yahweh Shai, But, like I say, man, sometimes we don't realize, but, there's times that we have to ultimately make sure we're really practicing it, man. Because there's certain, things that are easy to walk away from, certain people, certain things, whatever. But then there's things that are hard to walk away from, which is ultimately a test, from the Heavenly Father. You know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, you could walk away from, a friend or a coworker you just met, But is it easy to walk away from family? No, it's not. So in this truth, we have to ultimately realize that, we have to practice the art of walking away from things, man, whether it be family, because at the end of the day, speaking of family, we don't cover a lot of topics, but even family, for example, even though it's hard, people may be your blood or whatever, but at the end of the day, if they're not doing the work of the Lord, they're not your family, because according to the scriptures, Yahweh Shai quoted, man, basically, roughly paraphrasing that, those who do the will of my Father, that's my, family, basically, man. So your carnal, your physical family, if they're not doing the work of the Lord, they're not listening, they're not, they're not on the same vibration of you, you have to naturally walk away, man, from them, man. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, a man's foes should be those of his own household, man. So some of your family might, send you to the Romans, man, so to speak, give you up to Esau in the times to come. So you got to know when to walk away, especially certain family or just people that are just negative all the time. You got to know, when to walk away, man, because these people, you have to understand we're dealing with spirits, not people. So if people is negative, man, You know what I'm saying? They're always negative. They're always wicked. You know, if you're around that 24/7 or you're around that a lot, you're going to slowly become that. You know what I'm saying? You know, sooner than later, you know? So you got to know when to walk away, or even when it comes to these women, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, a woman, yeah, she might have, um, like the whole package, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, got the good quaba. She look good, man. Got the fatty, whatever you want to say it, man. Beautiful face or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But if she's not ultimately respecting you, you know what I'm saying? You know, she's out here, taking, you're taking away your focus. You know, you grinding on something, you trying to perfect your craft, and she's distracting you. You got to know when to walk away, man. You know, you got to know when to say no, or I need some space. You know what I'm saying? You know? So we got to really practice, these things, man. Or even if it's walking away from certain habits, man. You know? Even if it feels comfortable like this, you still got to walk away, whether it be diet, man. You got to know when to walk away from that piece of cake, or that brownie, or that that burger. You know what I'm saying? You got to know when to walk away, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you see your body will send you signals. You know, things that show up on the outside is a reflection of what's going on internally. So, for instance, if you all ultimately start becoming, gaining just a lot of, unhealthy weight, or sometimes, you'll break out or whatever, that's your body basically telling you, sending you signs that you need to walk away from this thing, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's obviously, affecting, your well-being, your internal health, which ultimately goes, to the outside, man, you know? So your body will send you, these signals telling you need to walk away from this. You need to stop. Pain is an indicator, man, that you need to stop sometimes too. You know what I'm saying? So that's just maturity in the spirit too. Just, learning how to not be, over righteous. You know what I'm saying? Or even when it comes carnally, it could be you in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that one last rep, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you may want to do it, but damn, if you hurt or something, you know what I'm saying? You got a torn rotator cuff or some shit, and you trying to do 3 extra reps, with heavy weight, knowing you got a torn rotator cuff. Now let's say you do those reps, and now you can't work out for 3 months. What was that for, man? Was it worth getting hurt? So you got to know when to walk away, because you can't think of the right now. You know what I'm saying? The present. You got to think about the future also. You know what I'm saying? You got to ultimately realize and decipher, the effect that's going to happen, because of everything, there's a cause and effect, man. You know what I'm saying? So we got to really think, before we really do things, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to really think, but obviously thinking in moderation. You know what I'm saying? But, that's a lesson for another time, thinking too much. But, we got to really be 10 steps ahead, and you got to calculate everything you do. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to walk away. But most importantly, not only those things, those are surface level things, but, things in this truth too, man. Most importantly, when we're preaching the gospel, you know what I'm saying? You got to know when to walk away, we're no longer, if you notice, man, we're no longer in that 2007 spirit. We cussing out Christians, you know what I'm saying? We cussing out Esau, we cussing out Wicked Jake, you know what I'm saying? Having debates with Muslims and shit. Nah, we're not doing that no more. We're here to, basically, prophesy, man, about prophecy, you know what I'm saying? That are to come. You know what I'm saying? So we're no longer out here in heated debates, man. You don't got to debate people no more, man. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, as the high priest, Ariel once said, man, if a nigga don't get it, man, move on. You know what I'm saying? If they don't get it, move on. You know what I'm saying? So you don't got to be out here, telling your cousin, your wicked ass cousin, you know what I'm saying, Deuteronomy 28, man. You don't got to tell him that, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to waste your time, try to teach this dude, you know, the scriptures, man, and then he's scoffing against you. They laughing at you and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn when to move on. Don't let people waste your time, man. If you clearly see a nigga's just not going to get it, just move on because it's not meant for them to understand, man. The Lord get in the spirit of delusion, man. You know what I'm saying? So we got to know when to walk away, man. But let's read the scripture real quick. This book of Matthew chapter 10, starting at the 12th verse. Wait, Salak, let's go to verse 11. This book of Matthew chapter 10, starting at the 11th verse, and it reads, "And so whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire in it who is worthy, and then there shall abide till ye go thence. And then when ye come into a house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it not be worthy, let your peace return to you." So, ultimately, man, if the house doesn't literally mean a physical house, it's just, it could be people, or whatever, If people are not receiving you, you know what I'm saying, are not worthy, you got to look at it. Are these people worthy of my time? Are these people worthy of my energy? And if they're not, you got to let your peace return unto you, man. Because at the end of the day, it's about being in peace, man. Don't be out here stressing yourself out for people that just not going to get it. They're not meant to get it, man. I remember first coming into the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here trying to give everybody the word. My damn neighbor, my damn freaking seventh generation cousin, whatever, brother, whatever, anybody who it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Trying to tell everybody the truth. You know what I'm saying? And they just, it was going one ear and out the other, man. I used to be like, damn, bro. Like, and I'm out here trying to force it because, when you first come to the truth, you trying to save everybody and stuff like that. But then you start to realize, man, that people are not, the wicked should not understand, man. And that scripture is not only point to the Esau's, but to all the wickedness. You 2/3, you heathen, all that, man. You know what I'm saying? So, let's go to verse 14 now. Verse 14. In Matthew 10 and 14, and it reads, "And so whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart of that house or city, shake the dust out of your feet," man. Let's read that again. "And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, and when you depart out of that house or city, shake the dust out of your feet," man. So, man, if you prophesying or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and people, are ultimately not, trying to receive you. You know what I'm saying? Especially out on the highways and byways, man. They're not trying to receive you, you know what I'm saying, or hear your words. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste your time with that nigga, man. Arguing and stuff. Elder Tahar, sent out a decree basically that, you can call the cops, man. If a nigga, man, you out here debating with a Christian or whatever, and they won't leave you alone, they trying to start a debate, an argument or whatever, you can call the cops on them, man. You know what I'm saying? You can do that, man. Don't give your energy. The scriptures say, man, do not cast thy pearls unto swine, man. These people are not worthy enough, man. You know what I'm saying? If they're not out here hearing you, if you trying to tell a nigga some shit, bro, you know what I'm saying? They're not listening, man. They're trying to give their own doctrine. You know what I'm saying? That's contrary to the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Shake the dust off thy feet, man. That means you leave, man. You depart. You know what I'm saying? You leave, man. You don't stay there, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know when to walk away. Ultimately, in a way, it's basically, in a sense, being the bigger person, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? In this truth, you got to be the bigger person, man. Because if not, we're going to be out here getting carnal and shit, and it's not time for that, man. You know what I'm saying? So don't give these people your energy. And we have to understand that, the Lord's dealing with us, man. The Lord's not dealing with these people, man. So we have to understand that they're not going to make it, man. We got to accept that, man. You know what I'm saying? So don't be out here wasting your time arguing with people that's not even worth it, man. Most of the time, people just want a reaction out of you, man. You know what I'm saying? So us brothers, we got to remain stoic, man. So we got to know when to walk away, man. Especially in the times that we're in, we got to know when to walk away, man. You know, we're not in the time, man, to get super confrontational with niggas no more, man. You know, if the spirit, I mean, sometimes the spirit may be on you do that, but generally speaking, it's, you know, the spirit that we're doing right now, we should be about prophecy, man, not debates, man. You know what I'm saying? You know? And then now let's go to the book of Philippians chapter 3 and verse, starting at the 13th verse. Philippians 3 and 13, and it reads, Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those which are before, man. You know what I'm saying? So we have to forget the things which are behind, man. We got to leave things behind, man, and focus on the things which are before, man. So, you know, in that sense, we have to ultimately leave, like, the world behind, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to leave the world behind. You got to leave people behind. You got to leave places behind. You know what I'm saying? You know? And focus on the main things, man, the things that are which before, man. In verse 14, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God and Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Let us therefore, as many, be perfect, thus minded, and if anything ye be otherwise minded, God shall reveal this even unto you, man. You know, so, you know, the most important thing, man, is that to learn in this truth, and you're gonna learn, you know what I'm saying, as time goes on, is that ultimately you gotta walk away from things, man. If you really love something, and just even anything in life, if you really want to be great at something, you have to be willing to walk away. It's like a nigga trying to make it to the NBA, and you from the hood or some shit. You know, you can't be hanging around with people from your hood no more. You know what I'm saying? They may be doing bad things. They may be bad influences, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got to walk away from those people, man. You know, and love those people from a distance, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got to walk away from, you know, people that's negative, you know what I'm saying? You got to walk away from, you know, these women, you know what I'm saying? These groupies and stuff like that, you know? So it's like a metaphor like that, you know, like a nigga trying to make it to the NBA. So in this, we trying to make it to the league of the Lord, man, the elect, you know what I'm saying? So we got to walk away from things, man. We got to walk away from people, you know, bad habits, things, whatever you could think of, places, you know what I'm saying? There's certain places, man, that a man of the Lord can't go all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? You know? Or can't go at all, man. You know what I'm saying? Because that will ultimately distract you, you know, from the main goal, which is to, you know, make it, man, in this thing, man. You know what I'm saying? And keep going, you know, and endure till the end. You know what I'm saying? So it is hard to walk away from things, but this is why we have to practice it every day. You know, we have to be about discipline, man. We got to discipline ourselves, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, to walk away from things, even if it feels so good, it feels so sweet. You got to walk away from it if it's not, you know, benefiting you or impacting you, you know, in both a spiritual way, you know, and a carnal way, man. You know what I'm saying? Some things might help your flesh, you know what I'm saying? But is it helping your spirit? So you got to look at things, man, or you got to do things in a certain way that it's able to, you know, both improve your spirit and your flesh, man. You know what I'm saying? You know? So, brothers, man, we just got to walk away. We just got to practice the art of walking away from things, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to understand our worth, most importantly. We have to understand that we're potentially the first fruits ever created. You know, we're potentially could be part of the, you know, the elect, man, the hopeful elect. So we are no longer the same as, you know, these people, man, in the world. So don't waste your time, man. Walk away from these people, man. Especially these people, niggas in the world, man. You know, it's okay. See the cat, man, chill. It's okay, baby. Wait. Yeah, my cat, man. It's a lot. But like, even like that, for example, I got a kitten or whatever, man. I got a little cat. Sometimes the cat will, you know, or a dog, or wherever you have a pet or whatever. Sometimes it'll meow, bark or whatever, man. Whatever your pet does for attention. But you have to ultimately know when to walk away, you know, because if you don't walk away, you ultimately reinforce that behavior. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's what I've been knowing a lot, man. I just got started dealing with animals, and you know, when you're raising the animal, you have to, you know, train them up, and teach them certain things, man, and ultimately teach them boundaries, man. And the only way you can teach boundaries, man, or hold boundaries is by walking away. Not necessarily walking away, but taking things away, man. You got to know when to disengage, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to know when to disengage. So even when it comes to behavior, even when you're dealing with these women, you got to know when to walk away, man. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't walk away, you're going to reinforce a certain behavior, and it's going to be learned behavior. And that's why a lot of women, or whatever, it could be women, it could be your pet or whatever, your kids. The reason why disrespect comes is because you allow it to come, because you're not walking away. You know what I'm saying? You're continuing to reinforce that behavior. So you got to know when to walk away, because if I don't walk away, if I stop the lesson to, you know, play with the and give her attention, then the Lord might throw a thunderbolt. No, I'm just playing. You know what I'm saying? But basically, man, it's like you got to know when to walk away, man. You got to know the worth of things, man, the value of things, man. You got to be willing to sacrifice certain times. It could be even your own time, man, your own pleasure, man, to do what's most important, man, which is the truth, the work of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So simply, man, like I said, man, practice the art of walking away, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to know when to fall back, even, like, even looking at it from, like, a secret agent point of view or a hero point of view. It's like we're undercover right now, man. The scriptures tell us, man, to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. We undercover right now, man. You know what I'm saying? We undercover, so it's like, we gotta know when to, back away, man, and walk away, man, in certain things, man. We gotta know when to stop the act, or we gotta know when to keep the act going. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you just gotta look at it like that, man. We're like secret agents of the Lord, man. You know, we can't blow our cover, man. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta know when to stop acting a certain way, stop doing certain things. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. You know, man. So yeah, brothers, man. Continue to practice the art of walking away. Discipline yourself. Try to do certain fasts. It's not only just physical fast that we do, with food and drink or whatever, but also do certain fasts. You could even do a social media fast. Get off social media, for a week. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily, start off small. You know what I'm saying? You can't, it's easier said than done, but try to take time away from things. Try to walk away from things, man, because it's easy to get addicted to things, man. Even little things, man. It's easy to get addicted to certain habits, certain things, man. So you got to know when to walk away. Disappear for a while, man. Walk away from the world for a while, man. Every great person has done that, man, where they just disappeared, they grinded, come back stronger. You know what I'm saying? You know? Learn how to walk away from certain family members, because it is hard, man. But you just gotta learn to walk away. If this person is not benefiting you, if this person is bringing no value to your life, they're just taking more than they're given. You know what I'm saying? Then You gotta stay away from those people, man. You know, you just gotta learn when to walk away. You know, it could be your best friend of 15 years, man. You niggas went to the same school. You niggas in the same sandbox. If that nigga ultimately shows you signs that he's fake, you know what I'm saying? You have to know when to walk away. Even when dealing with these people, I'm telling you, people will reveal themselves unto you, man. You know, it could be little micro expressions where like when they show their true, feelings behind something. Those quick little micro expressions, man. You know, no, you're not crazy. That's their body, man. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately showing them that they don't want to be around you, they don't like you, etc., man. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as you see that expressions, those micro expressions, or that squint of hate, and you know what look I'm talking about, man. You got to know when to walk away. You know what I'm saying? When you sense someone is an agent, when you sense someone is secretly against you, you know, I'm telling you that they will show you, man. It will be. They don't necessarily gotta tell you, man. But this is why it's important to read body language and ultimately trust the spirit, because your spirit will warn you, man. It could even be a wicked brother. You know what I'm saying? And it's truth. You know, you gotta know when to walk away, man, from that brother. The scriptures say, man, mark those who cause division and avoid them, man. If you're trying to rebuke a brother and correct that brother, and the brother doesn't want to, listen, you know what I'm saying? And the brother wants to do his own thing, you know what I'm saying? And go off, leave that nigga alone, man. You know what I'm saying? You know? I seen this quote the other day. It was like, don't burn yourself, man, trying to keep others warm. You know what I'm saying? You gotta just allow things to happen and walk away, man. You know? You know? If people are not respecting you, you know what I'm saying? You gotta learn to walk away, man, because silence is the best revenge, man. You know? Sometimes no answer is an answer, man. You don't gotta answer to niggas sometimes, man. Sometimes no answer is an answer, you know? When Yahushua was praying to his father, asking for things, the Heavenly Father didn't say nothing. And that was an answer. You know what I'm saying? So, you don't gotta waste your time with people, man. If people are just not receiving what you're trying to tell them, don't stress yourself out, man. And I'm a brother who's done that, man. Trying to, help people all the time. You know, I'm helping more. I'm out here, basically killing, on the verge of killing myself in order to make people feel at ease. You know what I'm saying? Going out my way to help people, and they don't do shit for a nigga back, man. You know what I'm saying? They just using niggas, man. You know, taking niggas' kindness for weakness, stuff like that, man. And recently, man, I just been really learning the importance of just self-love, man, and just knowing who to give your energy, when to give your energy. Like I say, man, basically practicing the art of walking away, man. You know, it's just like you at a party or something, man. You know, yeah, the party's going good, stuff like that. Music's playing, everybody's dancing. But as soon as you hear confrontation, you see a fight. You know what I'm saying? You see a nigga smash a beer bottle on another nigga's head. You gotta know, it's like, damn, I gotta leave because I don't want to get caught up in that. That's wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Most people's gonna want to stay in that drama. Oh, pull their phone out, be bystanders and shit. But a true man of wisdom knows when to walk away, knows when to stop. You know what I'm saying? You know? Even even when it comes to these women, man, it's a prime example. If a woman clearly shows she doesn't have interest in you no more, you gotta know when to walk away. You gotta walk away. Because if not only is that kind of like, just kind of like weird in a way, because you're trying to force yourself onto someone who doesn't value you. It's like kind of like a grape spirit, man. That grape spirit, you know. Someone's not interested in you, you're trying to force yourself. Not, man. It should be natural. You know what I'm saying? So, don't give your energy to people, man, who don't value you, man. You got to know when to walk away, man. You know, because like I say, you reinforce that behavior to get disrespected, man. You know. So with that, you know, Lord, when you have to fire, just give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim El Shah Bashim Gakardash, man. You know, just learn when to walk away, man. You know what I'm saying? Even if things is going good, as soon as you feel, what I'm saying, that off energy, man, walk away. It could be whatever. It could be at a place. It could be with a person, you know. You got to know when to walk away, man, you know. So, Shalom, Abba, that's America.